You're now tuned in to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome in, everybody. What's going on? It's another Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. I'll be your host for today, Ryan Green, joined as always by Michael Leck. And you know what it is by now. Please follow the socials, Two Dudes, One Ball, FF on Instagram, Two Dudes, One Ball on Twitter. Subscribe, like, comment. What's going on, Mike? How was your day?
Dude, my day was fantastic. What's going on, everybody? I hope your day was just as good. I'm ready for the weekend, man. We're here. We're excited to start this weekend off great. Another week closer to football, man. Football! Yes, let's go.
Cannot wait. All right, so today we got some questions to answer from you guys. So it's actually pretty cool. You guys have been active in our comment section and then on social media and whatnot. So
yeah, definitely.
You want to get right into that, brother?
Yes, for sure. And keep it coming. You know, like, subscribe to the videos. Turn that bell on YouTube. Get the notifications when we are live, like my partner said here. Yeah, let's start off. And we got our first question from Tom. He says, thoughts on potential Michael Gallup bounce back season. And as you know, our last episode, we did talk about our 2021 bounce back candidates and who we like. Michael Gallup, personally, Ryan, I'll let you take your own take on this, but I like Michael Gallup, but that offense, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Dak's coming back. CeeDee Lamb accelerated to his own role last year. Amari Cooper's, good. He's a top 12 wide receiver. Zeke's there. I think there's just too many mouths to feed, and they're getting Blake Jarwin back, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I would look to other options than Michael Gallup, if you asked me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if Dak comes back to how he was last year and he's throwing the ball a shit ton, there's still potential for Michael Gallup to have these big blow-up weeks. But as far as bouncing back to someone you can rely on week in and week out like he was 2 years ago, I don't see it happening this year, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
All right.
Appreciate the question.
Yes, sir. Next question is from an anonymous source. I guess this is from our what's it called? Linktree on our Instagram.
Oh, yeah, Linktree.
So this one says, should I draft Aaron Jones over Ezekiel Elliott? Now, what do you think about this one, Mike? I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
Well, there's a lot of factors that go in this. Is it PPR? Is it standard? But let's keep it on our terms. We play a lot of PPR.
Let's assume it's PPR, yeah.
But it's a lot of PPR. With the whole right now, if the draft was tomorrow, which obviously it's not, I'm smashing Zeke just because I don't like the Aaron Rodgers scenario going on.
Yeah, 100%.
If Aaron Rodgers somehow stays, maybe Aaron Jones can find a way in there. I don't know. I still like Zeke here over Aaron Jones. Man, that's tough. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'll make it short and sweet. I like Zeke. I would go Zeke no matter what the scenario is. Aaron Rodgers there, and Rodgers not there. I'm going Zeke.
So if Aaron Rodgers does return, then I wouldn't bat an eye at anyone taking Aaron Jones over Zeke. I mean, if what we saw last year, I know it was a bad offense, obviously a lot of injuries, but if Zeke is on the decline, which we know the shelf life for running backs is super slim in the NFL. So if you took Aaron Jones over Zeke, why wouldn't bat an eye? Obviously it's all reliant on Aaron Rodgers. So keep an eye on that situation and just go with your gut.
Yeah. Again, thanks for the other question. We go to question 3 here, and this comes from Kenny. He says, Zack Moss, second season comeback year at the running back position. Would like to hear some dialogue on my Bills. Well, stated, Kenny's now a Bills fan, as we know. Zack Moss, to me, in my thoughts, Zack Moss didn't really prove a lot last year when Devin Singletary wasn't on the field. Zack Moss didn't look good. Usually for second-year running backs, or third-year running backs, or any running back for that matter, to prove that they want to be a part of the offense, when someone goes down, the role steps, it's given to them, and they do good, they usually are rewarded. It looks good. But because he didn't improve a lot last year, I don't expect him to take a big step forward this year. I don't expect him to be that smash, RB2, potential RB1 scenario. So that's my thoughts on Zack Moss. He really needs to put a lot more work in the offseason, and maybe the Bills will turn to him more on the goal line.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to for Moss is he in on the goal line? And even if he is, Josh Allen takes those balls, most of the time. So again, like you said, you took the words right out of my mouth. He didn't show anything on the field. I mean, you go watch Zack Moss highlights, like what's his highlight? Like a 10-yard run every couple
Probably
weeks.
like a
So
1 minute video too.
yeah. So I don't know. I'm not high on Zack Moss this year. Again, the Bills are the most pass heavy team in the NFL. They were at least last year. They don't rely on that running game at all. It would be nice if they did get into it. But again, it's him and Singletary there, and not many touches are available. So I don't like Zack Moss to have a comeback here.
Yeah.
All right. Final question here is from Shane, Mr. Shane Black. He wants to know about Trey Sermon and the Niners backfield. So I guess, Sermon has the potential to take over that backfield. Obviously, Mostert is very injury prone. Wayne Gallman has been a career backup who does have talent, but still, he's not going to come in and dominate touches. So Sermon could be one of those situations like we saw last year, Mike, with Cam Akers and the rookies. Took them a while to get integrated into the offense, especially with COVID going on. But when they did, they really did take over. And obviously, we talk about it all the time. Kyle Shanahan is a running back whisperer. So if Trey Sermon does get the reins on that backfield, he could be phenomenal for fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Sermon here. It's just there's a lot of things that need to happen for him to actually have that chance. You noted injuries probably. It takes a little while for rookie running backs to really get into the flow of the offense. Usually after the bye week is when you start to see rookies be implemented more in their teams scenarios and the being where they're at. He's got Mostert who deals with injuries every year. He's got they lost Tevin Coleman, they lost McKinnon, so that's good in a sense. But they still have Hasty, right? And
Hasty's not doing shit.
it's just
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson, thank you. There's guys there, is what I'm saying, that Sermon's gonna have to earn his spot up the roster, and on top of that, wait for his time. And it's not gonna happen overnight, but if it does, I like him. I think he can be a good fit for that team. Could be like another Mostert just won't get hurt scenario. If he stays healthy, he'll be good for fantasy. All right. Appreciate all the questions, guys. Again, if you have questions, either submit them on the link tree, which you can find on our Instagram and Twitter, or they're also linked in our description of our YouTube videos. You can also submit your questions in the YouTube comments. That's where some of these questions came from, or DM us directly on our social media.
Tweet at us. Do what you got to do to get our attention.
Yes, we love all of them, and we'll answer them. If we have time, the shows right now aren't going to be kicking into speed because of the off season. Nothing really going on, so we have time to answer questions pretty much every episode, and we'll try. But when the season starts going, like we've stated, I think episode 1, we'll try to answer those questions on like a Thursday or Wednesday for Thursday night games, and then Friday for the Sunday games, or Saturday for the Sunday games.
All right. That'd be cool to answer questions for the Sunday games and the Sunday slated games on Saturday.
Yeah, people are gonna want to know. Hey, do I start this guy? Do I not start this guy? Compare and contrast people.
Right, and we should make some sort of title for our page right here, background, maybe like Q&A or whatever.
Yeah, we'll get that. It'll be more so you guys know. It doesn't say welcome on here, but this is just right now. This is the first time we're doing it, so it's a work in progress, as you guys know.
Sure.
All right, with that, we're gonna go as always. You guys know by the drill by now. We're gonna go to our news segment. I don't gotta say it. Breaking balls, and take us around the league, man. What do you got? What do you got?
To be honest, it's been pretty slow these past 2 days. The most notable thing, I guess, would be Kenyon Johnson signing with the Eagles. So we talked last week about Kenyon Johnson getting cut, so it opens up potentially more of a workload for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to come in and get a role. But what it does on the Eagles is quite the opposite. It actually kills Miles Sanders. There's already guys there. Boston Scott. Who's the other guy they have? Jordan Howard.
Howard. They brought Jordan Howard back. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it just muddles that backfield even more than it already was. So, and we'll in our main topic today on today's episode, we'll get more into that backfield. But that's all I really got for news today.
Yeah, I mean the Rodgers news has kind of slowed down in the last few days, but as we've assumed, no real trades or anything going on. As we talked about, June 1st is really the day you guys want to be looking out for that stuff. Other than Kenyon Johnson, I'm trying to think. I don't really think anything happened. I know Mahomes spoke his mind about Juwan James scenario and how the guy's putting in work for his team in the offseason. If they don't pay him, that'd be really messed up. I think he's getting a lot of support from the league too. Other than that, I really don't got anything, dude. I think we can go right into our main segment today, which is
let's get into it. Regression candidates.
Yeah, we're gonna reflect on last episode, episode 5, we did bounce back candidates. So in contrast, we're going to do regression candidates and people who are most likely on a downward slope or not do as good as they did last year. Maybe they sprouted or just slammed every game last year. These guys might take a step back and not perform as well as they did in 2020 and not as well as you would like them to.
Yep.
All right, we're
All
gonna
right.
we're gonna do
So
we'll do positions again like we
okay.
and
Let's do running backs first again.
yeah, we'll start with running backs. Stay consistent.
All right. Number 1, again, this is not in order, but the first person we're going to talk about here, Alvin Kamara. We've touched on this quite a few times throughout our last few episodes about the entire Saints offense. Kind of it's an uncertainty with the quarterback position right now. So obviously Kamara is going to take a hit. So we saw Kamara last year in a small sample size with Taysom Hill. We saw him not do as well as he did in the beginning of the season. So again, we're just kind of piggybacking off that if it is Taysom Hill or even if it's Jameis, that the upside from what Drew Brees was is no longer there. So he's going to have to be a regression candidate, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Kamara, right now, everybody's kind of taking a pause on the whole Saints scenario because we don't really know who the quarterback is. But let's just know, I want to note that the weeks that Taysom Hill did play, those are Kamara's lowest snap counts and lowest scoring weeks in fantasy. He actually against Denver, which was supposed to be a smash spot with Denver having some guy they just picked up from Walmart pretty much start at their quarterback position. He, I think, finished with 6 points, if that, in fantasy PPR format. So, and then the week before that, against Atlanta with Taysom Hill, he had, I think, 9 points or 10 points. So if we kind of saw a small sample size, if Taysom Hill is there, I'm on the fence with this position. I think it's going to be James Winston. I think it'd be better for Kamara, but again, we don't know. So expect without Breeze dumping it off to him a lot, he should take a step back.
Absolutely.
Next on the list, unfortunately, was going to be one of my guys I was praising all year and couldn't wait to draft possibly in this upcoming draft, and that was James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. James Robinson was an undrafted free agent last year who came into a real bad team, real bad scenario, and he made the most of everything. 1,000-yard rusher, looked great out of shotgun offense, and now we know Urban Meyer's going to play a lot of that shotgun and read options with Trevor Lawrence, so everything was going great until Thursday, April 29th, the draft, and they drafted with the 25th pick Travis Etienne, and that just dampers his role because you don't draft a first-round running back and not use him at all the year. They're going to wind up using Etienne. They're going to put him in the mix. They also brought in Carlos Hyde, who's more of like a change of pace kind of running back and be that vet guy there. But Etienne's more the focus here. He should take time away from James Robinson eventually, and needless to say, Trevor Lawrence can run. So
yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Urban Meyer came out and said he views James Robinson and Carlos Hyde, right? Is that who they signed?
Yep.
I don't know why I'm blanking. I know you just said it. So, yeah, they said James Robinson and Carlos Hyde are going to be the 1 and 2 down backs with ETN coming in on, third downs.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening for more than maybe the first half of the first week of the season.
Yeah, right. If
they're going to see who's the most explosive back, and they invested so highly in a player. He's going to be on the field, so it hurts James Robinson,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just want to note one more time here that the team won one game last year, so again they're not in a really good spot. But James Robinson, if you pick them up, once Fournette got cut last year and you took that chance on Robinson over the other guys and you won that, congratulations. But don't expect that to happen again this year. We can go to number 3, and he's one of the pictures up here on the board.
The obvious Josh Jacobs. I mean, they brought in Kenyon Drake. It's just annoying.
It is, dude.
There's nothing else to say. I mean, they lost their entire O-line pretty much. I know they invested a first-round pick in it, and they still have young players there, but it's not what it was. And then you bring in Kenyon Drake. It doesn't make sense. But that's what they did. Here's Gruden.
Yeah, and John Gruden talks so highly of Josh Jacobs from Hard Knocks 2 years ago to last year. He's an all-around back. He's great. He can pass block. He can run. He can catch. Then why bring in Kenyon Drake? Why do that?
Dude,
if he's your running back 1 and he's your guy, why bring in someone to compete with him? It doesn't make sense. No one can make it make sense in my head. That's just something John Gruden does. So definitely Josh Jacobs went from potentially like a 9th or 10th pick in the draft this year in PPR league to probably falling late in the 2nd round, if not 3rd round, because of that scenario.
If not later, right?
Yeah,
everyone
later.
was
Yeah,
better.
he's going down. He's spiraling down fast because of Kenyon Drake and that offensive line going to shambles. All
Yep.
right.
Take this
Next,
one away.
next is another guy. Again, I was pretty excited for this year. It's Melvin Gordon of Denver Broncos. Melvin Gordon, they just, the offensive coordinator, Pat Shermer, utilizes one running back. As we saw last year, Philip Lindsay didn't play a lot. Melvin Gordon had some good games, had some bad games. Bringing in Teddy Bridgewater, who likes to dump down. He's a little bit better of a quarterback than Drew Lock. So things are going positive until, again, draft night. This time it wasn't Thursday night, it was Friday night. And they drafted Javonte Williams, a really good, probably the 3rd best running back coming out of this draft. And they took him. So they're going to utilize him again, whether that be not right out of the gate, but after the bye week, he's going to be utilized. You don't waste such high draft capital in a running back and not use him, not look to use him. So this just hurts Melvin Gordon. So don't expect him to have what they lost pieces in the offseason, added pieces with the offensive line, added a quarterback. Things were going right, up in the right direction, and then bam, downhill.
Yeah. He also had the DUI situation. I mean, the front office and the coach could just be completely sick of him at this point. They don't think it's worth it. They could completely. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Fournette situation and they end up cutting the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For this running back to take over. So I really don't like Melvin Gordon.
The league hasn't done anything with his DUI yet either, right? Like everything's been kind of like hidden or swept under the rug or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it came out that he's getting off or something. I forget what the report was, but I don't think he's going to be punished at all.
It's just the fact of the matter is, like you said, it's still there. It's off the field issues. So maybe they're looking for a fresh start in Javonte Williams.
Exactly. Who's definitely more explosive. Melvin Gordon had his little
time
in the light. Yeah, so it happens. All right, next up is the counterpart to Josh Jacobs up there, Kenyon Drake. Again, last year you could plug him in your lineup. He wasn't great for you, but he'd get you those decent RB2 numbers. This year, who the hell knows what's going on with him? Who knows how they're going to deploy him? They're saying he's going to be a receiver, so we could see him go back to his Miami days. Remember when I was super high on him back in the day. I was the Kenyon Drake truther. And he would have 20. I would draft him all the time. He would
hold on to him too all the time.
all season. Because he'd have these weeks where he'd drop 20-something points and he'd catch like 8 passes and he'd get like 2 touchdowns, like something ridiculous. And then he'd have weeks where he doesn't even touch the ball. And that was Adam Gase. Then he goes to, obviously, when he moved over to the Cardinals for the first year, he blew up against the Niners, who were a stout defense. So much hype around him. And now he's gone with the wind and he's on a team with Josh Jacobs. And I don't think you can trust him or Josh Jacobs at all.
Yeah, that's definitely a 1-2 punch that you probably don't want to look to rely on to help you win games. That's for sure. If you have to take him and you kind of get handcuffed in a late 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, take it, deal with it. He could be your RB2 flex option. Look to maybe one of them goes down. That's the other thing. If one of them gets hurt, the other one significantly increases because they're both good guys. They're both good backs. They're both talented guys. It's just together, it's a shitty scenario.
Right, it's a committee that you don't want. Yeah, let me take this one too here, Mike. I got a lot on this guy.
Well, okay, me too, because I traded for him and I got some backlash. But go ahead, I'll let you start.
I know, that's why I want your bias to come in second after I
that's
demolish him too, because we're both gonna rip him. I know.
Oh, I know.
So next guy, David Montgomery. Sorry to Tommy out there. I know you're a big Bears guy now, but David Montgomery last year was mediocre all season. And then towards the end of the year, like obviously it's what have you done for me lately with fantasy, and he blows up. But the defenses he was blowing up against were abysmal, like terrible defenses that he was supposed to be doing well against.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that.
So you can't really read too much into that. I don't think that this year he comes out. Their schedule this year is brutal too. I don't think he comes out this year and he puts up anything close to what he did last year. I don't like him at all. I wouldn't be taking him anywhere in those 3rd, 4th round areas. I wouldn't touch him at all. So I'm super off David Montgomery. I think a lot of his production came on a few good games at the end of the year, and that's all I got.
I'm going to take over, and this is going to be, I apologize in advance for a little tangent here, but the scenario happened last year. I drafted Jonathan Taylor, and I essentially, after 4 weeks of watching Jonathan Taylor do nothing, I traded him for D-Mont because I was like 3-0 or 3-1. I was planning way ahead for the playoffs. And I looked at David Montgomery, who just lost Tariq Cohen, and is getting the ball in the passing game now and the run game. I was like, dude, this is smash. And his last few starts for the playoffs essentially was Minnesota, Jacksonville, Green Bay. No, back it up. I'm sorry. Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Green Bay's week 17. We don't play week 17. Houston, Minnesota, and Jacksonville were the worst rush defenses, I think, last year, or the top 5. They were in the top 5 worst rush defenses.
They were bad.
So I was like, dude, that's smash. I'll take that. I traded Jonathan Taylor, got a lot of backlash. And, of course, when I got him, he didn't really do much. Bye week came around. I wound up trading him. I went all in for McCaffrey. He was part of that McCaffrey deal. Against Green Bay, Detroit, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, he averaged 25.5 points a game. Absolute beast, like Ryan said. Turned it up. Now, this year, getting Tariq Cohen back, they didn't really answer O-line problems. They, Justin Fields could help, but I don't think he's going to start right away. They say Andy Dalton's starter, but who knows? It might take a week or two. Maybe Justin Fields wins that camp. Regardless, D-Mont is going to go down. The schedule sucks. It's so hard. That O-line is they just stacked a box of 5 people, 6 people. You don't even need to against the Bears O-line. Every time he touched the ball, there was people in the backfield immediately. And his first person to make a miss was 3 yards behind his line of scrimmage. And then he got back to the line of scrimmage and then no gain. So D-Mont finished, I think, a running back 4 last year. Don't even expect him to finish in the running back 12. He's not going to be a running back 1 this year for sure.
Yeah, and this is super
sorry,
bold
Tom,
of us to come out and call him out here, because if it does work out a different way, we'll look like complete clowns. But I'm really off David Montgomery, bro. I can't even fake it and be reasonable with it. I don't think he's gonna be that good. As good at least as last year, obviously.
People, the crazy thing in my head, dude, people are gonna draft him round 2, late as hell, round 2, round 3, and I don't think he should go even in those 2 rounds. I think he's like a running. I think he's like a round 5 kind of back. You grab him. I put him in my flex. I don't even want him because of the
round 5's pushing it, but I know what you mean. Not in those early rounds. Not in early round investment.
Exactly. People are gonna invest so much early and buy in because he did so good last year that it's not gonna pay off what they want, and people are gonna be so upset. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're gonna be wrong, and we're gonna look like clowns, and this is gonna be a TikTok video or something.
Or he could literally, be bad and he becomes a buy low candidate, someone you trade dirt for. You know what I mean? So it could benefit in a way, but he's just not going to be as good as he was last year. Not even close.
Yep. All right, next, again, the guy I drafted and did nothing. Sort of the same scenario with D-Mont. Did nothing for, I would say, the first 7 weeks, and was getting beat out by Nyheim Hines. And this is Jonathan Taylor I'm talking about here. Jonathan Taylor, what a perfect scenario. Unfortunate for Marlon Mack to go down on the first drive of the regular season, week 1. Jonathan Taylor obviously didn't do much that game because he wasn't ready in the game script. But after week 1, he was in the game script. And from that point on, he was the lead back, the bell cow. But then he didn't look good. Hines just looked better, explosive. Anytime Hines got the ball, he just more talented, making people miss, a better pass catcher, not fumbling. And it was just like, why isn't Hines the starter? Why is Taylor? And eventually Taylor, by I think week 10, started getting into his own and going to his groove. But that helped him get into that. I think where did he finish? 8th. 6th. He finished 6th last year. I don't see him finishing 6th this year, especially with getting rid of Phillip Rivers, who loves to dump it off to his running backs, no matter who that was, and bringing on Carson Wentz. That offense as a whole kind of went downhill a little bit, losing a little bit of the old line. I don't expect Jonathan Taylor to finish in the running back 1 category this year. I know we did our early pre-rankings, and I had him outside the running back top 12 with running back 1. You had him in, but just on the fence. I think you had him at 12 or 11. I don't like him this year, man.
I had him at what is this, 10? I have him 10th, and I still do. I'm sure I'll bounce him, knock him down a little bit, but again, like you touched on here, Nyheim Hines gets too much work.
Yep.
Marlon Mack is going to get work. We saw the other clown that was there.
Jordan Wilkins.
Right, Jordan Wilkins was getting a decent amount of work. It was annoying to watch. You want to pull your hair out if you own Jonathan Taylor. So. Again, same thing. I'm going to piggyback here. As Carson Wentz comes in, Phillip Rivers is the dump off king. So you're not going to get a big PPR bump for him. You know what I mean? So again, I think Jonathan Taylor will still be a serviceable running back for you. The expectations of him, I saw him getting mocked in some places in the first round.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
It's just outlandish. So
yeah, shouldn't. I think he'll go. In our league, he's being kept most likely. we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
presume. But second round kind of running back, late second round to me, mid second, late second, early third.
Pretty
All right.
much just cool the hype.
Yes,
is what-
please calm down. All right, last but not least for the running backs,
You got him?
Miles Sanders. With all the news going around today, yesterday, the day before, bringing in running backs, Miles Sanders just has not been cutting it. Injuries, just the games. He just doesn't look as good as the people thought. He took over took over for Saquon in college at Penn State, came to the NFL, hasn't really lived up to a lot of. He's had some good games, nothing about no question there, but it's just it's the fact that they're bringing in other running backs. Carry on, Hurts is there, who's going to run the ball. They draft their O line's kind of getting old and banged up. They have wide receivers that they keep drafting, so I don't like Miles Sanders. I'm out.
Yeah, when they after he got hurt, his snaps drastically decreased, and I had him in a couple leagues, and it was brutal to watch. Like every third down, you're like, oh, perfect, maybe I'll get some points here. Oh, look, the running back takes it 80 yards of the house against the Giants.
It's
And
Boston Scott.
it's Boston Scott. Like, what are we doing here? And now you add a Kerryon Johnson, who's more of a capable back than Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. So it's like what's going on here in Philadelphia?
Low-key turning into a poverty franchise, slowly but surely.
It's always been one. They had their one Super
One lucky Super Bowl. That was the luckiest thing I've ever seen. All right, let's move on to wide receivers. You want to go first? I got Miles Sanders
I'll
last.
go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have here the Panthers wide receivers. This is kind of obvious. We saw Teddy Bridgewater come in, and Robbie Anderson finished as a higher end wide receiver 2, and then I think DJ Moore, what was it, like right outside the wide receiver 2 range.
Yep.
But they were guys you could start week in and week out, and obviously DJ Moore's ceiling is super high. He's a phenomenal player. But you just don't know what Sam Darnold's going to bring to the table here. If what we saw with the Jets carries over to the Panthers, he's not a good quarterback. I mean, we could all hope and pray that he becomes a stud, which is completely possible. Look at Ryan Tannehill. But Ryan Tannehill's, 1 in whatever percentage chance of actually happening where it does work out that way.
Yeah.
So the Panthers wide receivers are, in my opinion, it's just more of a wait and see. But definitely a regression candidate because you don't know what Darnold's going to bring to this offense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just going to state the obvious. McCaffrey went down last year, so that allowed a lot of passing work to be going to those other wide receivers. I think that's what allowed Curtis Samuel come into his own, and good for him. I like him; he's very athletic, so that got him the bag in Washington. But yeah, Panthers wide receivers. I like Darnold, but I do agree with you, man. I do think that, but I think mainly the focus point is the fact that McCaffrey will be back, and that's the focus point on offense is McCaffrey. All right, with that, I'm going to take the guy who's on the screen here, and that's Adam Thielen. And the reason why Adam Thielen's on the board is because he's getting older. Justin Jefferson, incredible rookie season. The kid's emerging. He's very athletic. He's awesome. And the play of his quarterback. Kirk Cousins obviously has not been performing well. Last year wasn't as consistent as he was a couple years ago. It's just he's slowly going downhill every game. The offense already literally runs through Dalvin Cook. And when Dalvin Cook's going, that offense is going. When Dalvin Cook's not going, who they really go to last year, it was Justin Jefferson. I think the only thing that's really keeping Thielen relevant is the fact that he's a great red zone receptionist and great red zone target. But I think with the play of Kirk Cousins and the emergence of Justin Jefferson, you're going to slowly see Thielen year to year decrease and fall down. Whether that leads to Kellen Mond taking over or Thielen just not being relevant anymore. I'm out on Thielen. I'm in on Thielen, but not do as what you want him to do and draft him at a wide receiver 1 like you were the last few years. So expect him to bounce downward.
And I just also want to just say this. When we talk regression, we're not saying completely fall out of fantasy relevance at all. We're saying if a player finished here, there are circumstances that come in that'll make them possibly finish here. You know what I mean? Obviously, they could overcome this. This is just our opinion, but
yes,
Adam Thielen's a great example. He is getting older. That's a big one. Kirk Cousins obviously is not that great, and this is the last year of his contract. So if they maybe decide to switch to Kellen Mond midseason, if they're out of contention, and they want to make that switch, it's just going to hurt the offense. Again, also, like you said, Justin Jefferson thrived. He came and he blew up. So now there's more target competition. There always was with Diggs, but he's just getting older now. So I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think he's a great
And
regression candidate.
real quick, just building it, like we said, he was a wide receiver 11 last year in PPR format. What I mean and what we mean is I think he's going to finish probably around like the 16, 17 range. So, he's going to drop, but not significantly where he's like, oh, don't draft him, panic mode. No, he's not going to finish where he finished last year. So
they're not turning into waiver wire guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Just going to, be worse. All right, next up, Mike Evans. So Mike Evans, obviously a great wide receiver. He always has been. Last year, dealt with a lot of injuries, which is kind of how it's been throughout his career. He plays through these injuries, which affects him on the field a little bit. So, obviously Godwin was out for a lot of the games last year, which led to more Mike Evans targets, especially those end zone targets. And what do you have the numbers up in front of you, Mike? Do you know how many touchdowns Evans had last year?
Yeah,
double digits.
Mike Evans had 13 touchdowns.
Right. So you can't bank on touchdowns in fantasy football. It's the most least predictive statistic is touchdowns. So if Mike Evans regresses in his touchdowns and Godwin comes back to being a dominant wide receiver like we've seen, we know Brady loves to spread the ball around. Mike Evans can regress from being that dominant, double-digit touchdown guy to maybe, 7 or 8 touchdowns and, maybe just under 1,000 yards or something like that. And so I just think that he's definitely going to regress a little bit with the addition of Godwin actually coming back healthy and playing a full season healthy, hopefully, and his touchdowns regressing.
Yeah, or just I want to quickly touch upon this. This is every format. Out of the top 15 wide receivers last year, Mike Evans was the only one outside 20% target share. So that should go on and make you think that's how much the touchdowns impacted his points and scoring in formats. That's just, there's nothing around that. There's guys at 28, 22%, but he was at 17%. That's outside. Everybody else in that same category in the 15 is over 20. So Mike Evans, and also AB is emerging. He's becoming, that connection him and Brady had. So that's something you can't touch upon. And Gronk is there. And Gronk is starting to play into his own again. And Brady's, relying on him again some more. So
right. There's just a lot of mouths to feed.
Definitely a lot of, I was just about to say that. Definitely a lot of mouths to feed there. Last for the wide receivers is Brandon Cooks. Now, Brandon Cooks had a really bad year 2 years ago with the Rams, left in free agency, and went to the Houston Texans, where he became a reliable target for Deshaun Watson, and then even bigger target once Will Fuller got suspended. Once Will Fuller got suspended, Brandon Cooks was the guy. You could put him in locked and loaded, or wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 with high upside to be potential wide receiver 1 on that week. Well, state the obvious here, we don't know what's going on with Watson. So immediately, Brandon Cooks regress. And I even think if Watson's there, that offense as a whole is looking shaky. That team as a whole looks shaky. So I wouldn't trust Cooks to do much. He's always battled injuries in his career. So I just think that no matter what the scenario happens, more likely than not, Watson probably won't play for the Texans anyway. So Cooks is going to be going down on this list.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Watson might not play. Obviously, that's a huge blow. The team's not good at all. So it's just kind of a crappy situation, and lose your, franchise quarterback to whatever is going on with him. It's a mess.
Yep.
All right, quarterbacks.
Yeah, man, let's get it.
All right. Number 1, Justin Herbert. Now, Herbert's phenomenal. He's a great quarterback, but usually when there's more tape on a player, so year 2 coming out, defenses learn to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So Herbert obviously broke records as a rookie. He's going to be a good quarterback, but if these defenses do adjust and start picking up on things that maybe he struggled with in 2020, then it could lead to a down year for him in 2021. They still didn't really address that wide receiver 2 position too heavily. Behind Keenan Allen, it's just Mike Williams, who's always injury prone. So, I mean, again, a lot of things have to go right for Herbert to maintain where he was or even improve. So I can see him regressing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like Herbert. Herbert's awesome. He had such a great year last year. Props, tip my cap to him. But like you said, they didn't really answer the wide receiver 2. They bought in Josh Palmer in the draft, but it's a rookie, so who knows? Mike Evans bounces, banged up all the time. Eckler dealt with injuries last year. Hopefully he stays on the field. But again, film is the biggest importance piece in this. Teams now know how Herbert plays, his tendencies are, and have more game script on him, and they can try to plan for that and take that step to prevent him from going off on their teams. So,
Yep.
with that, we're going to go to the second quarterback, and
So we
this.
don't have to spend too much time on this
Yeah,
one.
this one I'm not going to touch on a lot because we don't know what's going on. That's Deshaun Watson, and that's just I don't even want to touch on the whole lawsuit thing that's going on right now. I just want to touch that if he's not on the Texans and where he winds up going, who knows what the scenario could happen. It can be any team, and at this moment, I can't really think of what team would really want him or go for him. So I don't. No matter what happens, I think Watson's just going to have a regressive year. He's got a lot of baggage coming on with him. So
Yeah, let's touch on it if he stays. If he stays with Houston,
yeah, okay.
that team again horrible. He loses Will Fuller, who was
His
a
go-to
go-to
guy.
guy,
Yeah.
for the big plays. He's running for his life behind a terrible O-line. So it's a recipe for disaster is what it is.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right, let's get into some tight ends here.
Yep.
Logan Thomas. I spoke on Logan Thomas when we went over our early rankings that, losing Alex Smith, an Alex Smith type quarterback who likes to dump it off and take these short targets to his advantage. You have a guy like Fitzpatrick who's always forcing the ball downfield. I think Logan Thomas is directly impacted by this change in quarterback. I think he's going to be relegated back. Obviously, in the tight end landscape, you could probably start him, but I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. He came out of nowhere, not a super, explosive prospect his whole career. So what makes us think that it's going to continue,
Yeah, and he also didn't really emerge last year until later on the season. So definitely Logan Thomas, Fitzpatrick does like you said, airs out the ball. He takes risks, and I don't think targeting your tight end is very risky. So it definitely shouldn't be. I think Logan Thomas finished 4th last year on the tight ends. I'm not gonna guess. I'll get the exact number. Yeah, third tight end. He's not gonna finish there this year, and that's I would bet a good penny on that.
Yep.
Next is Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry definitely taking a step back because the fact that he left the Chargers and was a good fit for him on the Chargers, and he went to the Patriots to join up with Jonnu Smith, who will be a committee at tight end, a 1-2 punch pretty much. Jonnu's very athletic and he's awesome, where Hunter Henry's more that bigger, sit down in the flat sort of kind of guy and get those extra yards for you. They're both good tight ends. I just think this is a scenario on a team that doesn't like to pass the ball. If Cam Newton is the starter and they like to run more, and Cam runs in those scenarios on the goal line, Hunter Henry should not be anywhere near the top 5, top 7 tight ends next year, and definitely look to do worse than he did last year with a new team.
Yeah, he's going to a worse quarterback, a worse situation where he's sharing targets with another tight end, not even like receivers. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
no shot Henry finishes that high.
Yep.
All right.
Last
this guy, Eric Ebron. Now he was no stud for fantasy. Don't get us wrong here, but you could start him. He was a startable asset in fantasy. So now we have Claypool, who we saw emerge last year as a rookie. They bring Juju back cheap. So, again, you get that whole narrative, he's playing on his contract year, blah, blah, blah.
Everybody likes Deante Johnson, too.
Deante Johnson's great when he's healthy. So, he's competing with targets. They drafted Pat Freiermuth in the 2nd round. So, they're obviously not happy with him. He has drop problems. I don't think that, like, last year you could get away with starting him. This year, I don't think that you can.
Yeah, and they also bought in Najee, as we all know, too. So, that team is definitely looking to go backboard to the run game. And then burn you over the top. And no tight end's going to burn you over the top. They relied a lot on the short game last year, which kind of allowed Ibron to be a potential starter in fantasy. Not going to happen this year. If they get Najee going and going good, I guarantee you're going to see more burner plays from Juju this year, and you might see more burner plays from Claypool, and then first down plays might be going. If it's not Najee, look at Deante Johnson. I just don't like Ibron either. All right, to end this segment, we didn't touch on any of these guys, but because they're all kind of grouped into one, and that is the whole Packers as a team if Aaron Rodgers leaves, and that's what we're going to focus on because that, we both agree, looks like it's going to happen. He is at rock bottom with that team, and the only way to fix it is to let him go. I don't think there's no coming back. So if Rodgers leaves, we're talking Adams, we're talking Aaron Jones, we're talking even Robert Tonyan, man. They're all gonna go down and not be where they were last year. I mean, I know we talked about Adams won't be our wide receiver 1. He'll be like a wide receiver 2 or 3 for us, or 4. You have him below Michael Thomas. I don't think he'll drop too far. I think he'll be like 5th, but he still comes down. Aaron Jones, that offense as a whole might not be good. So Aaron Jones might not get as many touches. He might not get looked at as much, not be as trusted with a new rookie quarterback.
Yeah, he might not get those high valuable touches that Rodgers always puts him in those good situations in the goal line.
Yeah, and they won't be scoring as much too. So that's also the problem there too. And Robert Tonyan too won't be maybe Jordan Love's reliable target, or that guy who stepped up for Rodgers won't. Maybe that's not the guy who steps up for Love, or if it is Love, maybe it's Alan Lazard or somebody, or Amon St. or not Amon St. Brown, or Amari Rodgers, the rookie. So, or maybe it's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Who knows? But if Rodgers leaves, which looks like it's going to happen, expect the whole Packers offense as a whole to take a step back. So good news for you, Tommy. You can watch them start to suffer and go downhill. And as Packer fans, it sucks for you guys, as you're probably
sucks for Giants fans because the Bears are going to get maybe 2 wins. You hit everything there. That's literally perfect. They're all going to suck if they're. I mean, not suck, but they're not going to be as good as they would be if Rodgers leaves. That's obvious. And if Rodgers leaves, like you were talking about before with Watson, maybe his landing spot is not as friendly with. You're not going to have a dominant Aaron Jones type of running back to set the tone, and you're not going to have a dominant, like the best receiver in football in Davante Adams,
Yeah, send my condolences to you Packer fans. Anybody that's a Packer fan out there, it's going to be a rough next probably 4 years. You guys still have a good as hell, without a doubt, wide receiver. But other than that, good luck if you don't have your Hall of Fame quarterback. So it sucks.
Yeah, it's going to suck, especially through these next few months while we, figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's wrap it up here, Mike. Nice little episode there for some regression candidates. As always, these guys, let us know in the comments what you think. If you think that we missed a player, if you disagree with the player we have in here, I know a couple of guys are super high on Jonathan Taylor in our league. So whatever you guys think, let us know in the comments. I don't want any text in the group chat. I want comments. I want
DMs,
Instagram comments. I want Twitter tweets at us. I want, I know, Kenny, you're one of our most active
viewers, man.
Supporters there, Mr. Kenny, big Bills guy. Let us know what you're thinking in those comment sections and whatnot. So please subscribe, as always, guys. Thanks for supporting us. We love you. We love doing this. It's fun. It's our second job,
Yes, sir. We put a lot of time in this. And again, our socials are on the screen. It's Instagram at 2dudes1ballFF, and that's the number 2, number 1, and at 2dudes1ball on Twitter with the number 2 and number 1. Please, again, like my partner said, follow us, let us know, tweet at us, DM us, anything you can do. Ask us questions, agree, want to argue, you want to just talk, you want to give us a player you didn't think we said or disagree with. Let us know everything. We love it. And again, most importantly, like, subscribe, click the bell on the Instagram, on the YouTube, and get notifications when we do drop a video. That's it for me. Peace and love, and be nice to everybody out there.
God bless.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the 2 Dudes 1 Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.